Do you remember those days of Ramaphoria, the new dawn that we were meant to experience, when Cyril Ramaphosa replaced Jacob Zuma and South Africa was going to be healed? We are going to be taken out of the hands of the state capturers. Cyril Ramaphosa was going to be the president for all of us. He was going to make South Africa great again. Remember, we were so excited. New hope sprung eternal. And we were ready. We were ready. South Africa was ready to go. We had been through the nightmare of the presidency of Jacob Zuma. One of the great moments was he was going to fix up the criminal justice system by making a wonderful appointment, the appointment that we were also excited about. Head of the National Prosecuting Authority, the internationally famous prosecutor Shamila Batohi was going to be our new head of the NPA, and she was going to fix things up, put people in orange overalls, exactly what we've been waiting for forever. And she arrived and proceeded to do nothing. And she's nearly at the end of her term, and what has she done? Nothing. She looks tired, beaten, defeated. And the same beaten and defeated Shamila Batohi appeared before the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee yesterday. And I've never seen anybody who looks, even the French, after they were beaten by the Springboks last week, looked more upbeat than this woman. She really has had a rough time. So there she was, sitting in front of the Parliamentary Committee, telling them, listen to this, what she said, crime is ravaging our country, and it seems like we're watching a movie in front of us in slow motion. And those of us in power that should be doing something about it are powerless to do anything about it. The criminals are taking over the country, organized criminals. Now that would be bad enough if you and I had to say it, but this is the head of the National Prosecuting Authority. Why is she powerless to do anything about organized crime taking over the country? Can she not find one or two brave men and women that would follow her? Does she not have access to the media where she would say, I want to prosecute so-and-so on this charge, but yet somebody is blocking it? No. She just keeps on saying what a bad hand she's been dealt as head of the National Prosecuting Authority. Could she not have prosecuted a case herself? Apparently not. So anyway, she appeared before the Parliamentary Committee, 101 excuses about everything. Really, it was quite a breathtaking performance. This is the person who's head of the National Prosecuting Authority. She knows that in a country of 60 million souls, there's maybe 1 million souls that are crooked and captured, but there's 59 million that would support you. But apparently she never got that memo. Please God, her term ends at the beginning of 2026. Can we please get a national prosecuting head who has got a spy? It would be so good. Take the public along with you. Believe me, you would be our Cape Crusader. We would follow you. Everybody would give you the support. And if somebody stood in your way, expose them. She told a story to Parliament about a compromised prosecutor. A prosecutor, somebody who's meant to uphold the law, protect your and my interests, but who works for criminal organizations. She then told the Minister of Justice, then briefed the President. They did nothing about it. Now, it depends which Minister of Justice we're talking about, because, in the aftermath of the general election last year, we had another corruption-accused Minister of Justice, Thembi Simelane, so I could understand her not doing anything about it because she doesn't want justice to take its course. Obviously, she has had some dodgy dealings of her own. Maybe it was her replacement, Ronald Lamola, but who knows? Or her predecessor, Ronald Lamola. Who knows? We had a justice minister and a president that wouldn't do anything about her allegations of problems within the National Prosecuting Authority. And she's very big on process. So she wasn't going to go to the newspapers and say, this person is corrupt, because she understands that she's not a podcaster, so she couldn't quite do this stuff the way you and I would like her to do it. So anyway, she chose to do nothing. She chose to cry about it and do nothing. Some little bit of spine was shown by the head of the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, Soviet Lekhanyane, who said that later on there would be a closed session. In other words, it wouldn't be public, it wouldn't be on, you wouldn't be able to watch it live, where the names would be revealed, or the name would be revealed of this compromised prosecutor. But this continues the pattern. You know the pattern? You and I, the taxpayer, the people that pay for their fat salaries, the people that pay for them to sit in the parliamentary committee and listen all day and act intelligent, we can't be trusted to know who's stealing our money. But they will know. These are the same people that protect one another. They can know the name of the compromised prosecutor, but not you and I. No, heaven forbid. You're not adult enough. You couldn't handle the truth, to quote the movie. We can't deal with the name because, oh my word, what'll happen? We'll suddenly know the crooks are. It's time to name those names. Let's get somebody who's got some courage. At this stage, it only looking like Ntlaglam Konazi seems to be the only one with courage to name names. Anyway, Shamila Batohi sat there, impressed nobody, looked like she wanted to burst into tears at any moment. We can't see the back of her soon enough. Let's hopefully get somebody to head up the NPA that's got some courage. I wouldn't bet my house on it, because it is those very politicians, those very people who are going to appoint the next head of the NPA. Not necessarily them, but certainly people they know in their circle do not stand to gain anything by having a head of the NPA that does their job properly. All of them know somebody. So they are going to go and vote for some other deployed cadre that's just going to sit there and say, either woe is me or do nothing and say nothing. That's what we had before. So that's what came out of the parliamentary meeting. Sorry if I sound a little bit emotional about it, but here you got what's supposed to be one of the key people in our fight against crime saying, oh, poor me, what was I meant to do? When she's got a big organization with her and a whole country behind her. But apparently that's not enough. She needed something else. Back at the Madlanga Commission, we heard the ongoing soap opera of the mess that is Ekurhuleni. Ekurhuleni brought to you with compliments of the ANC and the EFF. We've got to start putting political names to the people that run these places so that you can remember that the next time you vote. You must remember who sat there looking the other way while your city was looted, while your streetlights didn't work, while you drove into potholes. Okay? We've got to name those parties so that it can get out there, so that there can be repercussion. But we had ongoing testimony, largely from Revo Spies, who used to be second in charge of the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Service. And my Lord, I mean, I know we've reported on it, but it is breathtaking. This guy, Julius Mkhonazi, who was like, he was just out of control. The guy occupied some positions. It seems like he just assumed certain positions. And his bosses were obviously so scared of him that they just let him do whatever they liked. There was finally a disciplinary process, and who shut it down? None other than the former city manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi. Now, who is the city manager in any city? The city manager is like the CEO of the city. They're the person that's meant to run the city. This lady had been in that position since 2016, and it seems like she was in on it to protect Julius Mkhonazi and his criminal syndicate. Otherwise, why else would she have shut down any disciplinary process? I mean, even policemen that had committed rape were protected. But apparently that wasn't bad enough for Dr. Imogen Mashazi to actually do her job. She recently resigned or retired. Not soon enough, as we can see. We'll have to see, but Ekurhuleni, just remember what we're dealing with. I mean, try this one out for size. There was a policeman who shot his wife, who was also in the police, at the police station in Vosloorus. He killed her. He then turned the gun on himself. But he was better at shooting his wife than he was at shooting himself. He didn't kill himself, and when he recovered, he stood trial. He got sentenced to jail. Eventually, he came out on parole and lodged an unfair dismissal claim against the city and was reinstated. The guy had shot his wife dead. He was reinstated. He's currently a policeman. Oh, my word. But just let us remember for a second that much like the Tembisa hospital scam, as we learned in this book and we've learned at all these commissions, where criminal syndicates, with the help of police, with the help of politicians, stole money that was put aside for the most vulnerable that needed medical care, where they eventually have to kill whistleblowers. Much like that plan that led to Hangwani Morgan Maumela owning 5 Lamborghinis and Kat Matlala, having his own private plane. Much like that model is not going to be limited just to one hospital. You're going to roll it out to many hospitals. So if you think that you can do that to the city of Ekurhuleni, where you basically take over the city and turn it into a gangster city, if you're able to do it to the city of Ekurhuleni, why not do it to other cities? Why would you stop with a city like Ekurhuleni that's got a budget of 65 billion and you can spot many of those billions coming your way? Why not have a go at the city of Johannesburg that's got a budget of 89 billion? Now, if you or I think that they haven't decided to roll out the model a couple of miles down the road, I think we know the answer to that. Absolutely happening in every city in the country, right? And these commissions have got a fight on their hands because they have to fight against an entrenched system. And in most cases, the people we have delegated to do the fight for ourselves are beneficiaries, directly or indirectly, of that criminal activity. So this is where you start seeing problems as to whether these commissions are going to end up with anything really changing, right? When you have people sitting there at that Madlanga Commission, or at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Commission, I should say, people like Kuselo Sangweni, used to be Kuselo Diko, whose husband stole COVID-19 money, her late husband, right? How keen is she to fight crime if she didn't know it was going on in her own home? We know the criminals. We know state capture. There's been enough books written about it, yet many of the biggest perpetrators of that state capture are now members of parliament for the esteemed Umkhonto weSizwe party. We know what Brian Molefe did. We know what Lucky Montana did. We know what Siyabonga Gama did. Our prosecuting authority is just too gutless to charge them, but my word, there's a dozen books that were written about it because they didn't even bother to hide their tracks. So our parliament are saying, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Why would they? Why would they? They are the people benefiting the most. We know that the EFF is financed by Mazotti, who deals in the illicit cigarette trade. Why would he suddenly want an NPA that does their work? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand that our politicians are sitting there, and they are the people least likely, least incentivized to make this crime problem that we have go away because they're in on it. So I think we've got to be very, very careful as to who we trust. And they may be very, very convincing in the way that they question people like Shamila Batohi. But in actual fact, it's those very parliamentarians that don't want the system to go out. How do you think their political parties are funded? We had the deputy leader of the Patriotic Alliance at Kat Matlala's house when they went to arrest him. Right? Please, let's not think that our politicians want this cleaned up. There may be some, But those are the parties we dare not vote for because we don't like tweets that they sent out over a decade ago. Right? We're going to vote for people who want this crime to continue. Where does it hurt and who does it hurt? It hurts the poorest. It hurts every South African citizen. We are going to hear from our Minister of Finance as he delivers his medium-term budget statement. And what is he going to say? Well, not much. He's got a windfall. Now, South Africa works on two bases, by windfall and by events. We see it in Johannesburg. We clean up Johannesburg. Why? Because there's a G20 meeting, not because the citizens pay your rates, but because there's a G20 visit and some dignitaries from overseas are coming. The finance minister has got room to operate in his budget, not because the country is doing so well, but because the gold price and the platinum price happens to go up and the government's going to collect more taxes. Don't think that this finance minister has got any interest in making this economy easier to do business in or better for the citizens of the country. No, he's just going to end up with more tax money because he's able to get it from higher commodity prices. So what is he going to say? Well, he's going to lower the inflation target, but we've got a political fight at the moment. The politicians who are trying to impress voters by spending money where they think are going to get the most votes, or the Treasury that says, guys, let's not spend all the money because, we need to balance the account. We can't spend more than we've got. So don't think that there's going to be too much that'll come out of the medium-term budget statement. All that we won't see is fights from the political parties. It seems like the DA is now complicit. They're not going to raise any issues. The finance minister can do what he likes. They're not going to cut expenditure in the state. No, we got comfortable with 30-something deputy ministers. Don't get too excited about the medium-term budget statement. It'll be a non-event. But what I did find quite interesting is in Parliament yesterday, answering questions, our Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, doubled down on the ANC's commitment to expropriation without compensation. He said, this will continue to be the policy of the country. While we all know it undermines the economy, we will not get any investment in the country while we've got expropriation without compensation. So we'll play out listening to our Deputy President tell you all what a wonderful idea it is to undermine your property rights and my property rights. It is exactly like the apartheid government said before to black South Africans, you will not own land under this government, and the ANC is doing exactly the same. So thank you for joining me. Enjoy this clip. Subscribe to The Political Insider. We'll see you again soon.
I did say earlier that the ANC is pro-expropriation of land without compensation. We have never deviated from that. But I said when we came to Parliament, it was clear that engaging with other parties, we're not able to go that route, and therefore introduce another approach, which, of course, Honorable Mlefe was saying earlier that it's a sellout position. But it's working, because we are saying that there would be instances where land can be expropriated with nil compensation. I did say earlier on that when it came to the amendment of Section 25, we were not able to succeed in Parliament to do that because it needed 2/3 majority. But we went further as the ANC to ensure that we have a way in which we can continue to expropriate land. There are circumstances, as you correctly say, where nil compensation is accepted, and that is guiding all government institutions. So land is being expropriated, and where appropriate, and we don't have to pay, particularly because is for the public good. That is happening. And as we speak today, our only challenge is that we need to move faster. And I'm happy to report that we're beginning to see a much faster movement. We are pushing much faster to expropriate land.